Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage. The Mustang's back on the shop once again with what I think is a nasty intake manifold coolant leak. It's running all down the passenger side of the engine block and dripping off the starter. Everything's packaged in so tight you can't really see what's going on back there. We tried tightening up the heater hoses to no avail. So we're going to do a forensic teardown and we're going to work our way from the top down until we find the leak, hoping it's not the cylinder head gasket or a cracked engine block. Who knows, right? Alright, we're going to crack the bolts loose on the upper. Going in with a wobble extension on this one. We can't go up too high on that one or the socket will get stuck.
Well, that was loose.
Oh yeah, we got that one little vacuum tube there. Which usually come off. There we go. I think that's got it. Let's see. Let's get your PCV valve hung up here. I think we got it. I think it'll come out. Oh, there we go. There you go. Got a little coolant dripping on you.
Yeah.
No worries. I'm just going to take a peek down in here. Yeah, of course, you know, we drip coolant everywhere, so it's hard to tell where our problem was. It really pissed me off if it was this stupid hose down there on the other end leaking. You can't get to anything when the upper intake's on. These things are really, really annoying. But I'm looking at the heater hose, and it looks quite crappy. I know we tightened the crap out of it, and I know it was leaking before. I was kind of in disbelief that the intake manifold was leaking. But we just replaced the gaskets on the lower intake, like, I don't even think it's been 4 years ago. Those tend not to leak. So, I mean, this intake looks really good, but I'm just getting down in here and looking at that heater hose. Let this crap out of the way. Get in there and look at it. We'll have to get a look-see at that heater hose. It's so hard to get in here and look at this stuff. They just package it all in so tight. It's not like the carbureted stuff. Very, very inconvenient. Okay. And just looking down in here, that doesn't look so great. Now, I know we tightened the crap out of it, but it doesn't mean the hose isn't bad. It doesn't mean the pipe's not leaking too. Yeah, hard to say. I hate to pull that lower intake if that's not what it is. But I swear when I looked at it the other day with the mirror, it sure looked like it was leaking. But I swear that hose don't look great. And yeah, that hose has got to come off anyway to get the intake off. So they don't look very good though. I swear it looks like those hoses were leaking to me. But yeah, hard to say. I wonder if I could get down in there with the camera and actually get a look behind there. I can't really see what I'm looking at while I'm doing this, but yeah, that's not going to work out. Nope. Okay, sure. What do we use for sealant on that thing? Good grief. Wow. So y'all probably wondering why we pulled the intake. It's got a nasty coolant leak. It was running down the back of the passenger side, right in there. Everything else was sealed up pretty good. It looked like this one maybe was starting to have a problem. Everything else was sealed up tight. The end seals were tight. There wasn't anything that was really leaking on the intake except for that one spot. And just coming over here and looking at the gasket, looks like I did have a little bit of sealer on there. I guess I always try to do like a big pea-sized blob, to seal to catch the end seals, where they connect. And yeah, maybe we got overzealous with that. I don't know. I know we had a problem. We were setting the intake on. One of the mounting studs broke off. I think it was this one right here, and we ended up just putting a bolt back in there because I guess that stud was where, I guess if you use that support for the rear of the intake that everybody throws away, well, we did the same thing. Just looking over here. Here's our heater pipe, and I took that apart and re-swaged it. I put new O-rings in it 3 years ago. This is an Evil Bay score. This intake replaces one that had cracked on the ear right here. And believe it or not, it was not from us trying to replace a temp sender. We came out one day and it was leaking coolant, and this whole ear right here had cracked off. And we undid the intake, this whole part of it fell off. Unbelievable. So, of course, the Evil Bay one, they don't show you that the threads are pitted. We tried using a generous amount of sealant, thread sealant. It didn't seem to do well. I'm going to take this apart again and try to use Teflon tape. And just lifting this up real quick. This looks like it's in pretty good shape. Again, you can see there's maybe a little overzealous with the sealer. You can see where the end seal is still stuck on there, right in here. And that's sealed really good right there. But I tell you what, it did not seal real good around here. So I wonder if too much of that actually caused a problem with that gasket, because I think you're supposed to install them dry. Oh well, it didn't do it on this side. Of course, I don't have a lot of sealer on this end either. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Felpro is a pretty good name. I'm sure it was something we did wrong. We'll just try not to repeat the problem. It's hard to get right in there and get a good view of it, but you can see right in here it's pitted a little bit. I'm going to poke right there where my finger stops, right there. All right, we got the fitting nice and clean. That'll be ready for our Teflon tape, and then we went in and just wire brush the ends of the water pump pipes and just put a little bit of black paint on them just to kind of slow the progression of the rot. And then over here I took I had a couple of brushes. I took a stainless steel one, I think it's stainless, and got down in there and just cleaned on those threads a little bit because they were kind of cruddy. They still don't look the best. I tried getting in there with a battery cleaner brush, battery terminal cleaner. I got down in there a little deeper, but you can see those threads they're not the best. But as long as there's enough for it to grab a hold of, we should be fine. And I'm going to cinch down on it as firm as I think I can get away with some Teflon tape on there. That'll probably work better than the liquid sealant. I've had pretty good luck with tape. Again, I wouldn't have bought this if I'd have known that the threads in it were that rough. That's what's so nice about buying something at a swap meet as opposed to Evil Bay. So anyway, we're getting pretty close. We used some kind of O'Reilly's brand Teflon tape. It's about the thinnest Teflon tape I've ever worked with in my life. Kind of hard to work with, but I went around it I think twice before breaking it off. Actually, I cut it so I wouldn't stretch it weird. Yep, I think there's the seam right there. Of course, you're always turning in the you wind it in the same direction you're going to turn it, right? So you don't unpeel it when you screw it in. So that should work okay. And again, threads aren't the best, but I think that's going to. I think we're going to be okay. And the beauty of this is if it leaks a little bit later, we can cinch down on it a little bit more and not worry about loosening up the sealer. You see right there where it's trying to come loose on me. See how it's wind it in the direction it's going to turn. We'll just pull that back. It'll be fine. There we go. All right, we got that one in there pretty good. I used a fair amount of torque on that, obviously knowing the threads aren't in the best shape, so we don't want to be super crazy with it. But I feel like I got that pipe to go down in a pretty good ways. You can see it down in the hole there. So, yep. I think we'll call that good. And then if it does want to weep a little bit, if we want to be risky and grab a hold of it and torque down on it a little more, but I tell you what, I put a fair amount of force on it. So I feel pretty good that's not going to leak. We're going to use a set of Felpro MS93 334 intake manifold gasket set. Looks like it comes with the O-ring for the distributor. It's got those nice blue silicone rubber end seals, which I've had really good luck with those. And it looks to be a metal embossed gasket like we used before. Yep, okay. And it doesn't come with sealer, but I always put a little pea-sized dab in the corners. It's going to be a very small dab this time to make sure I don't get any back here where I don't want it. We don't want to put anything around the crossovers. We're going to put them on dry like they say. And I think we'll be fine. Ooh, that looks nice and clean. Hey, just bragging, that's nearly 250,000 miles. And look how little deposits there are in there. Yeah, I know there's some dirt from the gasket scraping, which will clean that up a little more too. But truly amazing. I've never seen the early small block Chevy or Chrysler stuff come apart with that many miles that look that good. Hey, just test fitting everything out. Looks like our new gaskets are going to fit just fine. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and just put a little pea-sized dollop where those end seals meet. I actually like to see, this has got a nice thing where the intake gasket fits on top of the tab on the head gasket that centers it. But I'm going to go in and put a pea-sized dollop right where the block rail meets the cylinder head. I'm going to put a little bit underneath that and then lay that back on, and then put a little dollop right on top there and lay this in right here. And that should be a nice leak-free seal. Just being careful, I don't want to get silicone anywhere where these embossed gaskets going to seal around the pass-throughs for the water. And of course, you know, the water doesn't circulate on this end, but it still has to seal. And I did go in and just bend the tabs up a little bit to center these a little better. You can just go in and just push up on that, get those centered the way you want them. And these will move back and forth a little bit, and the bolts will kind of center them. That's fine. So I'll do the same thing back here as well. Also being careful not to get any silicone on the actual sealing surface of the gasket for the pass-throughs. And obviously we don't need any sealer around the intakes as well. It's basically just, I think it shows head side. Yeah, it says head side. You lay that down. It goes into those little notches right there. Just like that. Get the rubber out of the way. This will drop right on. Yep. Just like that. And the rubber goes on top, just like that. Okay, we got her set in place. And we torqued everything down to 20 foot-pounds. Yep, that looks good. You notice we did take the injector rails off. It kind of made it a little easier to lower the intake in. That was a little bit of a chore to do. Kind of a two-person job. You kind of sort of lay it in as, you know, the other guy puts a couple of fasteners in. Probably the easier thing to do would be to put a couple of studs in. Hey, I don't know how well this will show up on the mirror, but just showing y'all, that's like, looks perfect to me. Now there's just a little bit of sealer oozing out on that joint there where the rubber meets the end of the cylinder head and the block rail. That looks really good. And just got the mirror out, not much to see there, but you can see the blue gasket looks like it's centered in there like it's supposed to be. It kind of snakes in behind the manifold and goes back and meets the cylinder head and intake gasket. But yeah, nothing sticking out where it shouldn't be. That looks really good as well. We're also going to take advantage while we got this apart. We're going to put a 180-degree thermostat in, replacing the 192 or 195. Yeah, we'll need to put the gasket in over it. We'll put a little silicone. We'll glue the gasket in place. It's a fiber gasket, so we have to use sealer. And yeah, we'll stick it in. We're just going to coat this thermostat gasket with a little black Permatex Ultra. Probably could have used gray. I'm not really sure what the difference in color is, but it'll seal. And there's our 180-degree thermostat. USA, that's nice. We'll see that very often. Cool. Sure. We're also replacing the heater hoses. And don't forget to reuse your restrictor on the heater core, otherwise you'll frag it. The restrictor goes on the large pipe or the suction side, going right into the heater core. Our new heater hose had a restrictor, so we're not going to reuse the old one in this case. Got the fuel injector rails on. We went ahead and retaped this junction right here that was peeling off. The factory cloth tape was coming off. We just hit it with a little Scotch 33. Yeah, I'm noticing all this self-stick factory cloth tape is coming off around this as well too. I'll probably just maybe trim that off. Maybe we'll tape that in. We'll just tape over the original tape as well. But Scotch Super 33 seems to stick to anything. We always put a little gasket tack down first. That way when we set the manifold on, we don't have to worry about the gasket walking around on us. We're just going to just set that in place, press it down, give it a few minutes, and then we're going to set the intake on. Like that. AC lines in the way. Pull the vacuum line through. Maybe not. Ooh, the white looks good. That's nice. Yep, and you got the fun ones in the back. Put those in blind. That looks good though. I don't think I was going to like it white. I think I like it.
Well, actually, it's not completely blind.
You can see a little bit.
Oh, look. You can really get these things out of the way now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see down there a little bit. Yep.
Is there enough room for me to go behind this line?
Maybe.
Nope.
Oh, got more turn tape coming loose. Dang it. Cool. I think we got that pretty close. I know, you know, depending on how thinky you are, how, you know, where you want that thick film module pointing. But we marked this before we took it out, and I think that's sitting. This was straight up to the front of the car, and then that's matching up with the rotor. So, yep, I think when we put that retainer down in there, it's probably going to rub in about the same spot it always does. You know, again, that's kind of, you know, preference. Of course, you know, you can only have this output so much, right? Because it has to be able to rotate with this connector. So if we put it back in the way we found it, I think we're going to be pretty close to being okay-ish. There we go. Just snug it down with a distributor wrench. I think we got that. That's going to be good enough to start it before we check the timing again. But the timing won't be off by much. Okay, cool. Hook up the plug wires. Another thing we're waiting on. I'm going to pick that up tomorrow morning. As usual, right? You can never count everything out, right? So there's a these Mustangs, this generation of Mustangs, they have a lot of finky pre-molded hose stuff, and then they also have a coolant hose for the throttle body, which I guess essentially is cooling off the, you know, where the EGR is hooked up. We ended up using a piece of 1/4 inch fuel injection line because it was dual rated for biofuel as well, and I think that E85 crap, whatever. So I know if the hose will take that, it'll take antifreeze, and plus the hose is rated like 226 psi, which is way more than this cooling system will ever see. We left a stockish hose on this side, but I know because we have to pull the upper intake to get to the fitting on that hose, we went ahead and replaced on that one now. Just coming over here real quick. We picked this up at Advance Auto, and I got to say they're pretty consistent too. Maybe not as bad as Rock Auto, but I looked this up. I think it actually fits a 94 to 2000 and something Mustang. They're telling me that that's supposed to fit this water pump to heater hose outlet, which is that bottom tube down there, and there's no way that'll fit. And I think they done me that same way several years ago, because the one sitting on the bench, if I can find it, it always kinked when you put it on. So O'Reilly's had the proper molded one, so we're going to go with that. And here's some of the old molded hoses that go from the firewall to the heater pipe. We showed that earlier. We got those all hooked up. That's nice. So I think that's the only thing we're waiting on. And I tell you what, that little bastard was like $33. We could have waited. We could have done either Amazon or LMR. I think they were like $15. Of course, you know, LMR, by the time you pay the handling and freight and whatever, it's probably 30 bucks anyway. So that's what we're going to go with on that. Oh yeah, here's the one I was talking about before. It kinked when you put it down on there. You know, this one was like semi-molded, but this part was straight. And that was another, I think, Advance Auto buy several years ago. And that one didn't fit right either. LMR has the correct molded one, as well as O'Reilly had that one as well. When we pick it up tomorrow, I'll tell you guys what the part number was on it. It was a Gates hose, and it was molded specifically for the 8950. Alright, so we picked up our water pump to heater pipe hose. This is the one from O'Reilly, which probably closely approximates the stock one, but it's too long on the top, so we're going to trim it. And then this is the one we bought at Advance Auto. This is what they gave us, which we looked it up again. It actually says it's for a 94 and up Mustang. There's no way this thing with only one bend in it is going to fit from that pipe right there to that pipe right down there. It's just not going to work. And the other one I had that was like that, I guess they sold me a similar one like that years ago. If you try to use a straight piece of pipe, because it's got a bend below the alternator bracket, it's going to kink on you every time. So I know that would be a loser. So we bought this custom fit one, and the part number on that one was 18799. It's a Gates, and we had to buy it locally at O'Reilly's. With tax, we paid $37 for this little bastard. I know online it was probably half that, but we want to get the car back together and running today. Here's the other. Here's the bypass for the water pump. That's a Dayco, and it's a 70646 Dayco. That'll be our bypass hose. That's the one that's going to go right there and hook up to the thermostat. So just summing it up, the Dayco 80401 does not fit anything on this car. I'm not sure why they sold that to us, but we're not even going to waste our time with that. So we'll get rid of that one, and we'll go with this one. Okay, with a little bit of trimming, we got it to fit right in there. We had to take a little length off where it goes into the heater pipe. We probably took off, what, maybe 2 inches, and it clears everything like it's supposed to. Oh, not even. We took like an inch off. So not bad at all. But for what that little bastard cost, you'd think we wouldn't have to trim it at all, but that's okay. Okay, it's late. It's about 7 o'clock Monday night. We got our hoses in. Those fit really nice. We got it full of coolant. We haven't, checked anything other than we dropped the distributor in. I think we hooked up all the wires. Let's see if it'll start. Ready? Yep. Oh, let's try it again. That's a good sign. Probably had to purge the air because we drained all the gas out of the injector rails. Not too shabby. Okay, we know it's going to run. Cool. We just got to move 2 cars, maybe 3. Got to move the GTO. Got to move the Maximo, which is on the other side of the GTO outside. And I think we can take it out and drive it.
We're getting some air in with the Maximo.
leaking everywhere and stuff, and probably spilling on the exhaust. When we took the intake off, it ran all down the back of the block. So I don't see anything dripping. So sure. We had to pull the distributor and come in here with a big ass adjustable wrench and turn on this fitting. It was leaking just a little bit. You could hear it fizzing, and I just cinched on it until it stopped pushing fluid out because it's under pressure right now. So I think we're good. I was a little afraid to over tighten on that because I know those threads aren't great, but again, you got to tighten on it enough so it ain't going to leak. So I think we found that sweet spot. So we'll put her back together. Bastard. So here we are the next morning again, and we tried pulling the distributor out about 5 times last night and cinching down on this little bastard right here, and it still leaks. So we pulled the upper intake, the fuel rails, and we're going to take this heater pipe fitting loose again, and we're going to go out and buy a much better grade of Teflon tape than the crap we got at either O'Reilly's or Advanced several months ago, because it's like so thin it tears if you look at it. And I probably didn't put enough wraps. I'm not used to using something that thin, but I know these fittings aren't great, so we're going to pull this out and we're going to run out and get some supplies, and hopefully the 15th time is a charm. Bastard. And you can see there that shitty Teflon tape, all it did was just tear and pull up as we torqued it down. You know, again, point out these threads are not in great shape, but a good Teflon tape should have sealed that up no problem. Really irritating. So we'll get some better Teflon tape and hopefully that'll fix it. Here's the Hercules Mega Tape, and it says it's 3.5 mils thick. It says it right there, I think. And this stuff is pretty thick. It doesn't want to wrinkle like that cheap Advance Auto turd tape. Oh, that was good. Now we already got it back installed. It looks like it went in pretty good. I did 4 wraps with 3.5 mils thick Teflon, and I snugged it up pretty good. We marked it so I could tell that I went 4 times around with the Teflon. We actually did it with the pipe still kind of partially in the car. We just undid this. And I'm hoping that fixes our leak problem, because everything else is fixed except for that. Really frustrating. Okay, just about got it buttoned up again for the second time. Thanks to that nasty manifold fitting. Really hateful. Looks like that tape got down in there and those threads really good. God, at least I hope it did. Getting that down in there. You see we had marked it. I think we got it. Yeah. Yellow mark facing forward, and then we put a yellow mark last night lined up with that.
I'm a little off.
Well, that's pretty close. Just showing y'all. We had a YouTuber comment about where the thick film module connector points, you know, depending on where you have the timing set. And of course, you can see that varies depending on where the teeth line up when you drop the distributor in. So we marked this last night because we were getting tired, so that's the last mark we used, and yellow's pointing straight ahead. So we have the timing set at about 14 degrees advance, and that's where our distributor sits. I think it was Elliot Butts that made that comment a couple weeks ago on the timing chain cover video we did. All right, then we're just going to hook up the wires. I think that's about got it, right? That's the last thing. Oh, got to put coolant back in. I had to bleed a little bit of that off. And then we're good. Bone dry. Alright, I think we got everything not leaking. AC plug needs a little help. That gap's a little tight. Everything on it looks like it's sealed up tight and working right. Hallelujah. Alright, she's running cool, but I think up to temp. It's a little cool out here today, right? Probably it's like, what, 70 degrees? Go ahead and shut it off. Okay, that's a good sign. She's sealed up tight. No leaks. Good deal. Alright, that looks good. Alright, you definitely got in practice taking the upper intake on and off. Hallelujah. And no drips anywhere. Austin's just going to roll her up in the shade so he can wipe all the fingerprints off the fenders. Mostly my fingerprints, probably, right? My old age, my back, I lean on everything. All right, she's doing good. Hallelujah. All right, hey, just doing a comparison. Turd tape, really, really good tape. Really impressed with this. Let me show you why. And I'm not going to pick on any particular box store because this could have been O'Reilly's, Advance, AutoZone. They all have that same crappy China-made stuff. I think it even said China somewhere on the lid or whatever. Actually, there's whoever made this is so embarrassed to make it. There's not a name on it. Doesn't even tell you where they made it, but you know where it was made. Now this stuff is so crappy. It will wrinkle if you look at it the wrong way, and you can actually see through it. See, I'm trying to hold it, and it's still trying to wrinkle on me. Just really crappy stuff, and just really thin. Just really hard to handle. This is called Mega Tape, and it's made by Hercules. That's the little emblem, the little guy. And it says right on there, 3.5 mils thick. And let me tell you this stuff. And it was in a very awkward place to do that on the engine because we didn't remove the heater pipe. We left it connected to the heater core side. We just disconnected it on the water pump side. You see how this stuff comes off? It's really, oh, of course I got to drop it, right? Even with me dropping it, you know, ordinarily that would wrinkle up. Tape, see that? You just straighten it right back out. This is really good stuff. It's 3.5 mils thick. I'm going to say it's probably 3 to 5 times as thick as this garbage right here. Really good stuff. I went around the threads exactly 4 times. I marked the nut on the fitting, you know, with a yellow Sharpie. Same one I used on my my duster video for the coil wire. So I found another use for my Sharpie stuff. You know, when you spend $6 for a pen, right, you're gonna wear it out before it dries up. Anyway, Hercules Mega Tape bailed me out. They've made me a believer for life, just like 3M Scotch 33 electrical tape. I'll always keep a roll of that in my toolbox. And all the other turd tapes, like your Harbor Freight electrical turd tape. That's the kind of tape you give to somebody for a gift if you don't like them. That's what I think of it.